This week it's the midterms, but let's have a look back at 2016's predictions. Didn't go their way, did it? Coming up. Good morning, or is it? I hope you're having a great day. Don't forget, leave your comments below, hit a like and a subscribe, hit the bell, let me know how things are going. And then every Tuesday and Friday, I can update you with stuff which is interesting to me and hopefully interesting to you. As it is, slightly topical. We're getting on to, actually, no, a lot of my stuff is slightly topical. We are getting on to the midterm. So tomorrow, UK time in the morning, tomorrow, the Americans will decide on how they think Trump has got on. So 2016 saw a huge shift in US politics, and it impacts on the UK and impacted on the world. Didn't turn into the divisive America that everyone predicted, that, you know, there were going to be mass exodus of people flooding to Canada. That didn't happen, did it? No, because you celebrities were quite comfortable in your little ivory tower telling people what they should think and what they should do, but, you know, they were quite happy in LA. I've never been a socialist, never been a Democrat in the sense of the American term of Democrat, but I'm a conservative, and I make no apologies for that. I have certain beliefs that conservatism or capitalism is the only viable way that an economy can function and grow. I don't believe socialism can do it. Otherwise, we'd have some successful ones. We pulled out some reactions, things like CNN, NBC, MSNBC, and some stuff from the UK, their reactions prior to the vote. So Trump had no chance, zero chance of getting anything. And the reactions are amazing. So we're going to go through it, have a watch, and then we'll come back, and I might have something to say. I might not. But let's see how we get on. Anyway, coming up, let's go now.
Not going to be the nominee, Chuck. I mean, as you know, I'm ahead in Ohio.
So, Jenny, could he actually win?
No freaking way!
He will be tempted to run, be predictably shellacked.
Do not tell me that Donald Trump is in this to win this, okay? He's a sideshow.
This is going to turn a three-ring circus into a freak show.
He's not running for president. He's running for Keep Me Famous.
I thought this was maybe some strategy for a new reality show.
How should Republicans handle Donald Trump?
Ignore him.
And Donald Trump is not going to be the nominee of this party.
Well, I don't think it's likely that Donald Trump will be the nominee.
Well, I do, based on your theme, believe that he's here to stay for a while, maybe through a few primaries, but he is not going to be the nominee.
Well, I'm going to support the Republican nominee, and I'm comfortable that it's not going to be Donald Trump.
There's not going to be a President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen.
Donald Trump will not become president!
He's not going to be president. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
All right.
I think if he becomes the president, he'll make it great, because the states is already great.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom, pleasure.
Take it from me. How about that?
Cheers, Tom.
And then, of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
So when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address, in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
He will never be president of the United States.
And we better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket next. I know you don't believe that, but I want to go on to write it down.
Sorry to laugh.
Okay, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right? But come on, buddy. All, let's say, cow poo-poo aside, there is zero chance we'll be seeing you being sworn in on the Capitol steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
I'll make a prediction, though, for you. And I don't really get into predictions much, but this one I'll go way out on a limb. Donald Trump will never, ever be president of the United States. That Trump should not be in this race. He's an absurdity. He is a travesty.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
Donald Trump is a here today, gone tomorrow candidate for president of the United States. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Ever respectful of the fact that the people have not voted, he's not going to be president of the United States.
Let's be clear. Donald Trump will lose the election.
I mean, he had a really good chance to be different and really have a chance to change things, but he doesn't do the work. He's lazy.
We talk about him every day, and we continuously bash him.
He's not going to be the president. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
This will be a wake-up call to the Republican Party. Despite Boris thinking that Donald Trump could win New York, like this, the presidential race is over.
Could I just cut through? I have one thing to say, one thing only, and that is that this race is over. Tomorrow morning, the money will dry up. The Republicans will start to hide. Trump has no place to go. This race, effectively, as of tonight, is no longer a presidential race. I mean, everything I know about presidential politics, and I've been through 5 of them, I've never seen one like this. This race is over. You might as well accept it. And the question now is, how do you minimize damage? And the only way you can do that, it seems to me, is to try to grab hold of some old conservative value things and do what Mondale did in '84, which is try to save a few people down ballot. But as far as Donald Trump's concerned, it will never, ever, ever happen.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
Our new NBC News SurveyMonkey poll is out today. It puts Hillary Clinton up by 10 points over Donald Trump. And this is not the first poll since the conventions to give Clinton a double-digit lead. This is actually the fourth. 4 polls that have Clinton up by more than 10 points, or at least 10 points. Staying the kind of lead she has leaped out into this race, you could see other states that suddenly get crazy, states you wouldn't have even imagined, like a South Carolina, even a Texas. They could at least become competitive. And what it would mean doesn't mean Hillary Clinton's going to win all of these. It means we could have more competitive states than we ever imagined. That's the way the lay of the land right now at this low moment for Donald Trump. We'll be back right after this.
We are back with David Hundo P. Plouffe, the man who says Hillary Clinton has a 100% chance of winning. So that means that no scenario that we could lay out to get Donald Trump to 270 electoral votes is something he would buy. So we thought we'd get David in here to look at those scenarios that the Republicans are talking about, citing them as a potential path to victory, and explain to us why they are not just implausible, but impossible.
And if you look at Wisconsin, the Marquette poll came out yesterday. She's up 6 points. She's up 4 points in our polling in Pennsylvania. If she keeps those together, all she needs is New Hampshire, and she puts the race away, and she's up there.
Well,
so
for
again,
them, the whole Colorado. I mean,
for them to look at fortune, and it is true, fortune favors the bold. But if the Comey bomb didn't get them where they need to be,
that really is the question, right?
It's it'll be interesting tomorrow night, I think, when Hillary Clinton wins, that Donald Trump will have lost this election from the very first day he announced.
If the numbers bear out what we're seeing thus far, Hillary Clinton will win Florida. And the delicious irony in this is that Donald Trump will have been kept from the White House by a big, beautiful brown wall.
And CNN projects Donald Trump will carry the state of Florida, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, Kansas with its 6 electoral votes, Nebraska with its 5 electoral votes, and Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes. North Dakota with its 3 electoral votes, and South Dakota, Texas, Arkansas. He has now taken the lead Donald Trump has 128 electoral votes. Louisiana, the state of Montana, Missouri, Ohio. He has 167 electoral votes compared to Hillary Clinton's 109. Idaho, North Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, Utah, Wisconsin, Arizona.
But we should really just take a moment here and look at this. Pollsters predicted that Hillary Clinton was going to have not just a victory, but that she was going to win an electoral landslide. Not only is that not happening, it is entirely possible that Donald Trump is truly redrawing the map the way that he said he was going to. It was Donald Trump versus almost all the experts, and as of right now, it looks like Donald Trump was right.
Donald Trump has defeated Hillary Clinton to become president-elect of the United States.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. Complicated.
This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for. And I'm sorry that we did not win this election.
I love this country.
The shockwaves from Donald Trump's victory continue to be felt across America and around the world.
Donald Trump wird der 45.
Élu Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump.
Everyone was wrong. The backlash begins. Some magazines are facing big embarrassments today. Newsweek had already shipped out this cover, Madam Secretary, but quickly had to change it to this, President Trump.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
So yeah, there you go. Well, back in 2016, I never saw it coming. I don't think anyone saw it coming. Those presenters did see it coming, and they're the ones, the pollsters, that they should know. I mean, when we had, when Theresa May took over as Prime Minister, and she called an election, everyone thought Conservatives were done, because the pollsters only really managed to get the feeling from activists of Jeremy Corbyn. I say activists of Jeremy Corbyn rather than activists of Labour, because Labour was always, from Tony Blair onwards, it was kind of almost centre ground politics. You couldn't distinguish between Labour, New Labour, and Conservatives in a lot of ways. But as soon as Corbyn came in, it was a red flag to lefty bull. They couldn't help themselves. So they only really got a feeling for the activism side, and he who shouts loudest gets heard, I suppose. What they didn't realise was that the Conservative voters weren't telling anyone anything because they were made to feel embarrassed because they were silenced. And that's the problem with socialism. It doesn't liberate or free people. It actually looks to silence debate, silence the possibility that there's an alternate view. I'm not saying that some, politicians don't have an open mind when it comes to talking about, what they believe, but activists don't. In fact, a lot of activists don't have a clue what socialism is. They just care about what is affecting them. They're very self-absorbed. And then, their leftist view is different from their leftist view, and they end up consuming each other because their view is more important than their view. They say, oh, it's not. Oh, say, yes, it is. No, it's not. And it just becomes it just consumes it. And then big government creates all sorts of problems for people. And there's no freedom. There's no self-determination, no way of, free will. You lose your free will with big government. It's about control. And before you get on the Bernie train talking about how Norway, Finland and Sweden are the perfect examples of socialism, they're not socialist countries. They are not socialist countries. They have some socialist values. Some of the way their government works are socialist, but they're not big government. They also don't have a minimum wage. They are financed by capitalism. As are we. We have, in the UK, some socialist policies. We have a welfare state, we have the NHS, we have things which are decidedly socialist in principle, I think. But the fundamentals are we're propped up by capitalism. And that's a good thing, because big government is bad government. What Corbyn does, he cites Venezuela. The poverty is huge. So their socialism, that top 1% that the left hate, well, in Venezuela, the top 1% have all the wealth, and 99% of Venezuela have none of the wealth. In fact, they are queuing for hour upon hour to get milk or bread or try and withdraw money at incredibly inflated value. I mean, their currency is worth nothing, yet they sit on staggering amounts of wealth. So socialism and your trust in socialism comes down to whether or not you believe that the people who are going to lead you into socialism are morally superior to everyone else. There's no corruption. The problem is, in every single socialist country in the world, there's always corruption. It's ruled by corruption. Big government means that you are not free. Everything is determined for you. The government will determine what you can do and what you can't do. They'll tax businesses to the hilt, believing that the answer to society's problems is to demonise big business, tax high and grow government. And it doesn't work that way, because there's a max exodus of businesses. And before people say, no, they won't, because if they do that, we don't want them anyway. But that is a nonsensical, ridiculous argument to make. And you cannot think that way. You need to have a low tax economy where businesses are encouraged to invest and they're encouraged to grow their businesses and employ more people, and then they will go out and they will spend more. And if you're a small business, they will determine who has a right to have a say over that business. You look at some of these activists and they go on about how businesses should be run by their employees. Well, I'm sorry, but unless those employees have ploughed their hard-earned money and ploughed their investment and gone to the bank and taken the risk, no, they can buy shares, but they shouldn't have a say over every business they work in. That's just ridiculous. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And also socialism, they talk about, and in the US, the Democrats, they talk about how so democratic socialism helps society. Well, it doesn't. It uses identity politics to put people in boxes and as a means of controlling them. You just have to look at activists in the States and have a look at activists in the UK to realise that on the left of their activism, they all congregate around one thing, socialism, which according to Lenin, not Lenin, but Lenin, is the foundation of communism. Don't quote me. It's what he said. I'm quoting him. It's the foundation of communism. So natural progression is, state-run everything. Equal distribution of wealth, which is great for those who don't do anything, as opposed to those who get up and pull their socks up and get out and work, contribute and help the economy grow and give jobs to those people that complain about the fact that, they're not given a free lunch all the time. So, yeah, it's crap, really. So, I mean, I'm not saying be conservative, and I'm not saying be a capitalist, but, don't be so narrow-minded. I'm quite happy to talk to anyone who's on the left. I'll chat to them left, right and centre. It's very difficult to find a lefty that will actually give me any reason to switch. It's not because I'm closed-minded, it's just because the alternative, conservatism, is much more appealing and enables for a much more effective way of helping those in need. It's not dirty. It's not conservatism and capitalism is not racism. It's not fascism. Fascism is shutting people down because you don't agree with them. Capitalists and conservatives don't shut people down. We go into debates and talk in universities where the student unions encourage students to shut people down. So anyway, I could go on, but there's lots of more informative stuff on YouTube that can tell you about the difference between socialism and capitalism than what I can say. It's just my opinion. So like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you massively. So I'll see you again on Friday Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon. Take care.